Pursuing a more promising future in the city, an innocent countrywoman weds a middle-aged entrepreneur, only to have her ideal destroyed by his irresponsible ways. Irma travels to the city of Talon to secure a higher-paying job. Irma into her home with open arms upon arrival in the city. The next day, the two go to the printing firm where Lonnie is employed, in hopes of securing work for Irma, but when Lonnie speaks to the foreman, he offers something in exchange. Irma observes the man and her cousin entering his office and out. Of curiosity, she peeks in to...
Welcome to Star Secrets by Brooke, where fame gets real. Secrets, all with a touch of elegance. Hit subscribe and step inside the world they don't want you to see.
Find them engaged in a compromising act. She later questions her cousin about it, but Lonnie dodges the query and merely assures her that she has been taken on as their new cleaner. On her first workday, however, Irma is accused of spilling paint by the foreman. Their fight draws the attention of their boss, and the woman's brashness catches him off guard. That's why Rudolph steps in and brings her to his office. Thinking she's in trouble, she attempts to defend herself, but the man gives her an address and assures her that she'll get a better job there. When she goes there the next day, the woman is shocked to find out it's the residence of her employer. The man employs her as his new maid since his last one left, 'cause he'll be having guests. In 2 hours, he tells her to prepare, but warns her that his guests are of a restless nature. At the party, one of the guests who is drunk sees that the new maid looks uptight. He goes on to knock the glasses off the tray to tease her, and the breaking glass makes the other guests gasp. Rather than scolding her, Rudolph tells the mischief maker to clean up the mess, and he complies. He pursues the poor housekeeper, however, by attempting to take her apron. Irma is awkwarded and attempts to move away, finding herself pushed against her boss. She does not say anything, fearful that she will aggravate him, but he apologizes for the rudeness of his guest instead. Again, Irma is apprehensive, and she unwinds herself from his hold to resume cleaning up. When she returns to the kitchen, the next morning, she sees her employer kissing another woman, so she thinks he is a free man. Tranced by her looks, he goes ahead to stroke her, awakening her. He lets her know that the last guest has departed, and even praises her for being observant last night. At her cousin's home, Irma grudgingly admits that she will be living with her boss. Although disheartened by their separation, Lonnie reassures her. Irma soon returns to Rudolph's, having no idea that a man is observing her. She finds upon entering that her boss is still not present. Feeling bored, she sits down to see his collection of books, smoke his cigar, and even play on the piano. Dissatisfied, she then breaks into his study and amuses herself through writing. Soon her employer returns and she scurries off to prepare his meal. Rudolph invites her to dine with him and the hungry woman agrees. Over dinner, the man apologizes for glancing through her letter for a guy by the name of A.D. In his opinion, her writing is so good that he feels like publishing it in lieu of sad news. He then offers her a notebook to continue motivating her in writing, for which she appreciates him. That evening, the maid walks past her boss's room and sees many scars on his back. The following day, Ad is the man standing guard over Irma, catches up with her. He reminds her of the promise she made to return home, but she vehemently denies having ever made such a promise. She explains that she never wants to be trapped in the farm, but her childhood companion disapproves of what she has done. Persistent, he again mentions rekindling their affair, but she declines because she does not feel the same. Later that afternoon, a female visitor inquires about Rudolph's location. The housekeeper tells her that he is at the printing house, and she is left crestfallen. She then examines Irma's getup and realizes that she is the new maid, a stranger, then relates that her previous employer lured her into sleeping in his bed. Thus she advises Irma that she could be the next in line because he has the reputation of making a move on his working girls. Bothered, the housekeeper later accuses Rudolph of the charges, but he's denying it. He laments the fact that somebody is attempting to do him harm, but she remains skeptical and sarcastically asks if he's got an ulterior motive towards her. He brushes this aside. To make her believe, Rudolph reveals his previous maid was extorting money from him. He then discloses his issues with people stealing from him, thinking it will make him an easy target for such defamation. Meanwhile, on the same day, The maid encounters her relative, and the two discuss the mysterious man. To everyone's surprise, Lonnie is convinced by Rudolph's assertions, expressing that his charm and wealth make women stick to him. She further tells Irma to become his mistress, but her cousin disapproves of it. Subsequently, at a cinema, they view a love movie, and the maid clearly loves it. Yet, her cousin advises her that romantic films are not realistic. That night, Rudolph awakens Irma and tells her to prepare herself. Also reminds her to bring her notebook, as he has a surprise prepared for her to demonstrate his good intentions. When he brings her to his printing house, Rudolph reveals the printing procedure of her poem excerpt. Then, he leads her to the printing press and commands her to pull the lever that will transform her handwritten poem into printed materials. Once it is created, the man reads the piece, and he praises Irma's style with words. Complimented, she attempts to pull away the paper from him, but he doesn't release. Tension is created between the two, but before kissing her, another worker turns on the light, ending their moment. Adi later encounters Lonnie in a bar. To her surprise, he informs her that he's in town as a revolutionist with a mission of reforming the Constitution. Later on, he requests her assistance regarding being reunited with her cousin, but one of his colleagues unexpectedly drags him outside, cutting short their discussion. In the meantime, Rudolph brings Irma into his quarters and introduces her 2-3 jars filled with blood leeches. He employs the animals in order to purify himself from wickedness and corruption, therefore inflicting the lesions on his back. He then requests the woman to place one on his shoulder, and she complies, as he has a leech placed on him. The aristocrat is curious whether she hates him due to his strange hobby. Rather, the housekeeper does not care so long as the practice leads to his good health. Just when he takes her hand and appreciates her hair's fragrance, Irma exits. She goes to her room to think things over, and much as she's upset, she couldn't help but notice the way he made her feel whenever he touched her. The next day, Rudolph apologizes. However, the woman brushes it off, although she threatens to resign if he persists in his games. Days afterward, Adi inquires of Lonnie whether she has spoken with her cousin. Even though she agrees, she discloses that Irma is obsessed with her work, so she hardly gets time to socialize. Aggrieved, the man persists that she needs to go back to the village because it's the kind of life she deserves. Lonnie is adamant that it is Irma's prerogative to make her choices, but he does not heed her statements. Abruptly, a different man phones Adi and surreptitiously gives him something. The scene makes Lonnie anxious. While in the kitchen of Rudolph, the man thanks his maid since her day-to-day conversations have been his haven against the difficult world. He then suggests they roll reverse for a day whereby he will be cooking their dinner tonight. Irma is interested, but the man warns her that he is not skilled at cooking. As if to corroborate this assertion, he breaks an egg on the table. The maid cleans the mess from his hands, but their closeness forces the man to make a move. Irma attempts to break away, but this only makes them stumble on the floor. Before he can grab her, the woman runs into her room and begins packing. Her employer pleads with her to remain, but she is fed up with him overstepping her boundaries. Back at her cousin's place, Irma weeps in defeat as Lonnie consoles her. Asked what had transpired, the erstwhile maid insists that she does not wish to become one of Rudolph's floozies. A month later, Irma and Lonnie are at the theater when Rudolph takes his seat next to them. He begs his erstwhile maid to grant him a few minutes of her time. She refuses, citing she is not interested in having an affair with him. He assures her that he's serious about her and will never make her his mistress. Skeptical of him, she attempts to leave, but he seizes her hand quickly. Not caring about the crowd, he admits to loving her and pleads with her to marry him. Shocked by the offer, Irma accepts, to the pleasure of him. Subsequently, in the bedroom, the couple advances their relationship further. One morning, as the couple are preparing their breakfast, Rudolph vents about his encounter with the freedom fighters, who are complaining about his refusal to print their election posters. He seeks advice from his wife regarding whether he should do it, but she dissuades him as he is free to decline should he not agree with them. While he would like to, he feels divided. Considering that his father told him to be accommodating in order to be a prosperous businessman, Shifting subject, he tells Irma that he left her money to purchase anything she desires. Explains that it's his way to feel like even her possessions belong to him alone. As Irma settles into married life, 80 broods as his faction fights the government. Additionally, he grieves losing his love to a man from the opposition. When Lonnie goes to comfort him, the frail man kisses her, causing them to become intimate. 2 months after, Irma is writing when she breaks a teacup accidentally. This angers Rudolph because it belonged to his grandfather. He notices that his wife is extremely sorry about this, so he advises them to get a maid to prevent her clumsiness. She thinks of protesting against this, but doesn't, fearing she will infuriate him further. Later that day, she sits down with her cousin and attempts to persuade her into becoming their new maid. But Lonnie refuses to work for her cousin. In December, Irma is thrilled to start preparing their Christmas ornaments when she catches Rudolph, guiding Elsa, their new housekeeper, in opening a bottle of wine, leading her to suspect their affair. Months later, the relationship of the couple is put to the test when Rudolph makes a remark about his wife's appearance. He says that she is losing her curves, which makes her less attractive to him. On the day of her birthday, Irma scolds their maid for serving the food late. Her husband just then tells her that her visitors have come. Elsa seizes the chance to finish her task, but is halted by her employer, who offers to take the plates himself. Once more, his wife looks at them with disdain. After this, Irma warmly embraces Lonnie, whom she has not met for a long time. To her amazement, she sees 80 alongside her, so Lonnie discloses that they're now together. Irma did not anticipate this, but she blesses them to prevent awkwardness. In a bid to prevent things from turning awkward, she leads the duo to the reception area and presents them to her guests. In their presence, Rudolph humorously invites the guests to eat before the freedom fighters spoil their day. 80, a member of the freedom fighters, attempts to justify the group by detailing how their objectives are genuine. Yet, the aristocrat goes on and mocks them, especially with how easy their slogans are. He stereotypes that they can only persuade the naive people to move for their agenda. Fed up with his rudeness, Irma explains that individuals from the rural areas are not stupid, considering she knows them. Moved by what she said, Adi absent-mindedly unwinds his hand from Lonnie, and she walks out. When she composes herself in the kitchen, Rudolph comes over to refill his wine and catches her unawares. Out of the blue, the man comes up to her in the name of fetching another glass, but he goes on to sniff her hair. On that evening, Irma attempts to make love to her husband, but is pushed away by him, shouting that her blood smells. While in the theater one day, Lonnie browses through the audience, only to find Rudolph on the balcony with another woman. She alerts her cousin to this, but Irma will not look, fearing she would be hurt. At home, the wife presents her husband with a gift in the hopes of being on his good side. Sadly, he condemns her for frittering away his hard-earned cash. Despite the coldness he shows her, his wife attempts to salvage their marriage by cooking his favorite dinner. She picks the ideal wine with care, cooks his favorite meal, and arranges the table to evoke an intimate setting. Rudolph never returns home. Hopeful still that he's true to her, she sets out to storm into Elsa's bedroom to find out. There she finds her husband having handed their maid a notebook with a love note written in it. Crushed, she walks back to the dining table, where she collapses in tears. By dawn, Rudolph is back home, insisting he spent the night at the office. Irma doubts this, so she boldly asks if he's unfaithful to her, to which he profusely denies. Unsatisfied, she presses him further, and the man insists that he was at the printing house, even blaming her, since he was working hard to sustain their needs. Despite this, Irma stresses that Lonnie saw him with his mistress in the cinema. Rudolph believes this is absurd, particularly because she never met him in person. He blames her cousin for merely envying her new status and wanting to replace her. Irma stands by her cousin and her husband, and then accuses her of still having her first love as the topic of her poems. Defeated, Irma suggests that he's free to be unfaithful as long as he's honest with her. Soon after, Irma wakes up to discover that Rudolph has attached leeches on her body. She attempts to escape, but her husband prohibits her from doing so. He encourages her to submit, emphasizing that he will assist her in extracting the wickedness in her body. With the increasing bizarre of their marriage, the poor woman ends up telling her cousin, Lonnie tells her to leave and to persuade her. Discloses that Rudolph sniffed her hair at the party. But Irma's defense charges her with jealousy. Lonnie disregards this abusive comment and goes on to encourage her to leave her husband, alarmed by how ill she began to look. When arriving home, the wife spots Rudolph and Elsa flirting around, confirming that they are together. She gets embarrassed and hurries back to her room to pack her belongings. After this is done, she attempts to apologize to Irma, but this angry lady sends her packing. Her husband, on the other hand, also agrees that their marriage no longer holds and advises that they consider going their separate ways. He confesses that he never loved her and that their stark contrast leads them to be incompatible. When Irma protests, he insists that he is not a good partner for her and she's wasting her love on him. Powerlessly, she begs him to remain with her, even at the cost of ruining her. She then tries to seduce him in order to change his mind, but he loses interest and leaves soon. As revenge for abandoning her, the housewife shatters her husband's jar of leeches. Lonnie, in the meantime, inspects Adie's gun when he suddenly shows up. The man searches in the cabinet for his weapon. This unsettles Lonnie further when Adie informs him that his companions are being detained. She also notices his bleeding head. And even though she wishes to take care of him, the man is more concerned with retrieving his gun in order to rescue his comrades. In order to get him to stop, Lonnie gives him his gun, but discloses that she is pregnant. Ad doesn't react to this, so the woman begins to cry, assuming that he doesn't care for their child. But Ad soon feels joy at the news, and even plots to go back into the countryside and settle down with her. The couple soon pays a visit to Irma's residence, only to find her cold and sitting by the leeches. Her cousin hurries to her aid, while a bitter Adie plots to make Rudolph pay for destroying her. Soon after, the revolutionist proceeds to the printing house and runs to the office of the owner. Viciously, he threatens the businessman with ruining Irma and lives of people. Instead of being responsible, Rudolph directs the conversation towards Lonnie, blaming her for sleeping with men in his business. He's insulted. AD fires, only to realize that his weapon lacks bullets. At this moment, he observes a knife on the table. Now fired up with anger, he seizes the weapon and plunges it into the businessperson's chest. Putting him in a critical state, the revolutionist quickly knows the gravity of his deed, so he runs away. As Rudolph is about to die, he takes a pen and pens down his final message to his wife. Shortly after in Irma's residence, the authorities tell her and Lonnie that they have arrested AD for murdering Rudolph. Shocked by the news, the widow finds solace in her cousin, 11 years down the line in the rural area. Lonnie has settled down into a humble life with her son, whom she has named after his father. Irma stays with them and is busy writing a book entitled Life and Love. As she completes her draft, she is inspired by her late husband's last letter to her, a vow that he loves her forever. She learns suddenly that AD has come back from prison. Irma plans to meet him first, but Lonnie quickly welcomes him instead. With the reuniting of the couple emotionally, the narrator observes them with sadness and jealousy of the life she may have had otherwise. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notification and give a like to support the channel. Thanks for watching.